Good day, everyone. Today we will discussing the chapter 17 in gender and society, which is the masculinity. Here is the learning outcomes. At the end of this chapter, learners will be able to explain that masculinity is a social construct and state why masculinity can be oppressive to men. View gender equality as irrelevant or even threatening, fearing it might undermine their status or privileges. Yet, true equality benefits everyone by easing rigid expectation and opening up opportunity for all genders. Building an inclusive society means paying attention not just to women's rights, but also to how societal norms shape men and other identities. This chapter focuses on straight cisgender men, the socially dominant or default, to explore how powerful, privilege, and traditional gender roles operate. So let's start from the beginning of masculinity. Carl Gilligan observed that girls and boys are socialized differently. Girls learn care and empathy through association, seeing themselves as connected to others, especially their mothers, while boys learn masculinity through dissociation, defining themselves as not like women and distancing from emotional expression. This socialization, reinforced by schools, peers, and media, teaches boys to suppress vulnerability and limits their practice to empathy, while girls are encouraged to maintain relational sensitivity. Media often compound this by normalizing sexism and objectifying women, portraying men as a dominant and women as a secondary or sexualized.
On what it means to be a man. So we'll now take a quick look on each slide one by one, touching on what this concept means for our families, barcadas, and communities, of course. So starting with Kimmel says, masculinity is an ongoing task, and Brannon's four rules are no sissy stuff, chase wealth, hide emotions, and be aggressive. So hegemonic masculinity sets one narrow standard, but how many of us feel we can never meet it? Next slide shows masculinity is socially built, hard to win, easy to lose. We can see it in fraternity rights on how some of us use sexuality to prove manhood. Is links to manhood rejecting the feminine and non-dominant identities. So boys get teased for not being macho enough, and homophobia often storms from this fear. So Kimmel's research even ties to exclusion to violence, masculinity into power. So fear of losing status fuels harm from like sexism and racism. So silence let this system persist. But since society shapes this, we can reshape it.
Men are often used to represent all human. The male experience becomes while women and others gender are treated exception. For example, guys, in all textbook, man is the measure of all things referring to humanity. Men and fragile masculinities. Fragile masculinity refers to the pressure men feel to constantly prove they are real men. When masculinity is questioned, some men may react defensively. For example, guys, a boy being teased for cry because real men don't cry. So next, guys, is the responsibility of men. Traditional societies expect men to be providers, protector, and leaders. For example, guys, a father working long hours because he feels he, mu- he must financially support the family. Is the Philippines a masculine country? A success is often measured by financial stability and social status. Being the breadwinner is highly respected, especially for men.
To reflect on what it means to be a man in today's world, we must remember that masculinity is not fixed. It evolves with society. Traditional roles are being redefined and men are embracing caregiving, empathy, and emotional openness. True gender equality comes when we recognize that all people, regardless of gender, are shaped by social expectation, and that masculinity itself is a human construct, not an innate trait. By challenging old stereotype and embracing a broader vision of manhood, we create a society where everyone is free to express their full humanity.